So a couple things. What does white privilege actually look like? It looks like a lot of confidence. There's actual studies that when children of color, particularly African-American children, are taking tests in school, they come into that test, and before they even look at it, there's an anxiety that they feel, and it's measurable in these studies, that if they fail that test or do poorly on that test, it's going to somehow confirm the stereotypes about them. And that the white kids come in, it's like they don't even care if they fail the test. Like they might even do it on purpose. I used to play a game in engineering where even if I was halfway done with the test, if I saw someone else about ready to turn it in, I would just go turn my test in. Like it was a competition for me to finish first, which is a completely asinine value to have in college, right? But that was my game. Like, so I had all this supreme confidence. This hopefully isn't being recorded, but you want to know what white privilege looks like? It looks like an American pastor with a church and I love Rick Warren to death. And I suffer from the same things. I should pick on myself the exact same way. This white privilege looks like me and Rick Warren thinking that we can change the world with an acronym, PEASCE or whatever, and sending over small groups of white people from Orange County to Rwanda to fix Rwanda and by proxy the rest of Africa. Like only a white dude would think that in like 5 or 10 years we can fix Africa by sending over short-term missions groups of small groups from our church in Orange County. You know what I'm saying? Like if some church from Ireland thought they could fix the problems in Bend by sending over like their small group teams, like we'd be like, I don't know that you can even fix a pothole. I don't even know that you would know how to navigate the city in the right forms and whatever to actually have permission to address a pothole, and you think you're going to fix our whole, like what? Like that's white privilege. It's confidence. We have it, right? And so knowing that, what is it? Where does it come from? It comes from, the self-esteem that was in our schools in the 70s and 80s and 90s. It comes from the fact that, we oftentimes get more opportunities to do things and feel the confidence that comes from it. It comes from a bunch of different places. But the interesting thing is now it's turning. It's turning such that you don't have the automatic privilege that if you go to college, you're going to come out and get a career job and make a middle-class income. You might have to now, as a white 20-something, work multiple jobs, don't get benefits, and that's a real awkward thing because you didn't grow up thinking that was going to be the case. And here's the strange thing, because you get all this talk of reverse racism coming in. And here's what I would say. Loss of privilege often feels like oppression. Like, I'm white, and man, the system is turning against me because I can't even get a good wage-earning job. I'm working these 2 jobs. Like, it's not fair. Like, don't talk to me about white privilege. Like, the system is not working for me. And the whole time it's talking about these other people and what about me? And so loss of privilege often feels like oppression. It's not, though. I had a guy in California, African-American guy, was planting a church. He had a team of Christian kids that went to a Christian Bible college, white kids, and they were right in the middle, like South Central LA, so African-American neighborhood. And he asked me, like, hey, can you come talk about justice with my guys? And I'm like, dude, like this guy got shot in Florida working with teens. Like he's been doing community development as a pastor for a very long time, and he had to move out of Florida because when the humidity got bad, like the pain on his nerves. So I'm like, I don't get it. Andre, like, why would I need to talk about justice with you guys? Oh, trust me. So we show up, we're having lunch, and I'm still wondering, like, why would Andre want me to talk about justice with his guys? And so 45 minutes into the lunch, a guy starts telling a story. One of these young pastor guys that went to Christian Bible college, he's like, man, I was talking to this kid in our church, this church plant we're starting, and I love him so much. I'm spending all this time with him. I'm always available for him. We do all these things, and he's just got this chip on his shoulder. And the other day he looked at me and he says, look, no matter how hard you try, you're never going to get it. And then this white kid goes, and I'm so tired of that reverse racism. And then I got it. I'm like, that's why Andre wanted me to talk to these people. Because there's some things I can say as a white dude that's hard for Andre to say. And I looked at this guy and I said, let's just stop right there for a second. You just articulated to me that a guy that has experienced first-person discrimination is telling you that no matter how hard you try, your knowledge will always be third person, that you're never going to have experienced his exact experience, that he's just telling you that. And the truth of that somehow you're excluded from his experience in life, that bothers you because you're trying so hard to be one of the gang, and it bothers you so much that you feel like you're being singled out because you're white, and you're going to call that racism. And I said, let's define racism. Racism is when the systems and structures disadvantage you because of your color. Are you able to be a pastor? Is anyone telling you you can't be a pastor because you're white? No. Are you able to move anywhere you want? Like, you have the economic resources, your parents have money, your network has money, you raised support so that you could go anywhere you wanted, and you wanted to go to this kind of poor area because that was what you were really drawn to. Are you able to go anywhere you want and do what you want to do? Or are you prevented from doing that because of the color of your skin? He's like, no, I'm able to do that. Are you somehow, because this guy says you can't experience what he's experienced, are you somehow economically disadvantaged? Does it affect your ability to get social services or medical attention? Does it put your life at risk? Does it keep you from finding a wife or a spouse or being able to pursue these things? Like, listen, the fact that you don't like what the guy said does not make it racism. Racism is when you, because of the color of your skin, are disadvantaged and you're put on the under part of history rather than on the same playing field with everybody else. And there's a lot of people, I don't know what it's like to be a woman. And if you told me, Ken, no matter how hard you try, please don't try, no matter how hard you try, you're never going to understand, I'm not going to call that sexism. I'm just going to take it as a brute fact. Like, yeah, I get it. I'm never going to fully get it. Matter of fact, I don't fully get it. But yet, somehow, just because this guy's color was a barrier, it went into this reverse racism category, and it betrayed a lack of understanding of what racism is in the first place. This guy that says you'll never understand it, he has been profiled because of his color, been maybe marginalized at his job or passed over for advancement, career opportunity, possibly because of his color. Ended up growing up in a zip code because of going, again, back to the Great Migration, and when people from the South went to economic centers, they were put into areas because they weren't given access freely or equally. And so he grows up in a neighborhood, and because they're all grouped like that and it became a ghetto, it is high crime and it is low economic opportunity. And so he's grown up with all these challenging opportunities. And yes, like, there are different things about him that are racially based. And that's very different than you feeling frustrated that with all your confidence and that the door is always open for you and that you always seem to get your way, can't have this one thing that you wish you could have, which is fully being a part of the club. It's not reverse racism. Does that make sense? I know I'm stepping on 1,000 toes. I just want to take 2 seconds to say, forgive me if I make mistakes or if I appear insensitive or anything like that. And I don't mean to say that I'm the expert. I'm just trying to have the deep conversation. So please, in all of the toe stepping, know that my desire, my heart is one of grace, that we would have this. Questions, comments? I won't be offended. We can talk about anything. Yeah.